The next piece, I'm going to talk a little bit about, before we talk about networking, we're moving to LinkedIn now, which is a little bit different, will contain some components like we just talked about, stating those accomplishments, having the awards section. A lot of these things from the resume still apply, but I'm going to talk about the key sections of LinkedIn before actually talking about how to network on there. The main things you want to look at are, and the reason this is so important is that LinkedIn has a very strong algorithm. I just heard this on a podcast I listened to the other day, which reinforced everything I've been seeing myself, which is that they show up very high in search results in Google and other search engines, which means if somebody types in your name who's just met you, or an employer who's seen your resume and maybe wants to look at you online, or whoever, if your resume has been passed on, your LinkedIn profile is going to come up. So you better have one, and it should be complete. And that's what I'm going to hammer home today, because that's the first thing they're going to see about you, most likely. It's one of the top search results. So LinkedIn is very important these days. Even federal government recruiters and HR folks are looking at them. So it's super important in almost any industry. You have to be careful though, as you build your profile, because you can sound very generic or vague, and that is not going to help you stand out. There is actually, I'm not sure if we shared it in a prior week, but if you can just literally Google overused phrases on LinkedIn, and there'll be a list of like 10 words and phrases like results oriented or, super organized. There are certain things that are great skills that you might have, but are really not going to help you stand out from the competition. So what you want to do in order to get the results that you want is to make sure your profile is complete. That means fill in every section that applies to you. Volunteer work, accomplishments like awards, publications. If you've had speaking engagements, there is not a great place to put that, but you can create your own work experience section and actually list the conferences that you've spoken at. And then in addition to those, the major goal of completing your profile, the real important pieces are, number one, the headline, which is usually people use as their job title, which I do not recommend. I'll tell you why in a minute. The about section, the skills section, and recommendations. A lot of people don't get them, and you really only need between 1 and 3, but having old colleagues give you a recommendation can really help boost you. It's like getting a reference before you even get in the door to be interviewed. So it's really good to have. And if you are unemployed or looking for opportunities, you can click open to opportunities in the very first contact section, I believe. And that's very powerful as well. So people will know that you're looking, and there are specific settings so you can sort of set who can see that and who can't, whether you want just recruiters to see that or your whole network. So just back to the headline and the about section for a moment. With the headline, you want to hit on a title that applies to your background, but also crosses into where you're trying to go. If you're a director level, the word director should be in there if that's what you're looking for, or higher. If you're a manager, the word manager should be in there. These are things search terms pull up. And when recruiters are searching, and they do spend hours a day on LinkedIn, I hear it time and again, both headhunters and internal company corporate recruiters are doing that. So you need to have the right keywords that they're searching for. The headline is 120 characters. That's a lot of space to include both a title and your specific skill sets and sort of your unique superpowers as well. And the skills, you want to align those with the skills that are being looked for in the job postings you're looking at of interest. So what requirements do they have, and what skills do you have that apply? As you look across those postings, find the similarities and make sure you're pulling those out. They're very important. And then lastly, in the about section, the first few lines are super important. It used to be called summary, now it's called about, but it's really sort of a bio section. And there, unless you click show more, people are not going to be able to read the full thing, which is 2,000 characters is the limit on that. So you have a lot of space, but the first few lines have to be impactful again and have those key terms, or you could lose out being found in searches. So be careful and make sure it's as complete as possible.